We are not pro-Hamas. We're
Then why do you call for why do you call for an intifada? Do you know what the intifada means? What's the definition of an intifada? I'm asking you. Can you answer this simple question? No, you cannot, because you don't understand the definition. An intifada is an armed resistance. You chant, globalize the intifada. You're calling for the mass genocide of Jews. That is what you're doing. You might not know you're doing this.
I think it's honestly despicable.
But you are.
It's despicable that you guys are using the Holocaust or any of this to like say that we are still trying to do it. Like, no, that is not true.
So that's a pro-Palestinian student at UCLA interrupting an NBC News interview with a Jewish student earlier this week, which, as you can see, sparked an intense debate between the two. Joining us now, co-chair of the House Problem Solvers Caucus, Democratic Congressman Josh Gottheimer of the state of New Jersey. He co-authored new legislation that passed in the House on Wednesday to broaden the definition of anti-Semitism, and we know President Biden will be speaking on Tuesday on that very topic. Congressman, thanks for joining us this morning. First, let's just start with your reaction to that moment that we just played for you, and then more broadly, the unrest you've seen on college campuses across the country in recent days.
I mean, shocking is only one way to describe it, but we've seen so many comments and chants and over the last months, which I just can't believe any student would scream out at anyone, right? Whether it's pro-Hamas, supporting Hamas, calling for 1,000 or 10,000 more October 7th, death to Zionists, kill the Jews. All of this is totally unacceptable, as it would be of hate of any kind against any student on our college campuses.
Josh, it's Palmieri. Good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Tell us about the legislation that passed the House yesterday. Tell us about why, what's in it, why it's needed. I know that some Democrats voted against it. Jerry Nadler voted against it. He cited that he had free speech concerns. But tell us why it's needed. And I know that you've responded to those free speech concerns.
Sure. And in my opinion, and as well as 320 others in the House, there's nothing controversial about what we said, which was defining what anti-Semitism is for the purposes of Title VI discrimination on college campuses, so that there's actually meat on the bone of what the definition of anti-Semitism is, which, as you know, is one of the things that the Department of Education looks at when it looks at discrimination on a college campus, where we should have which is no place for hate. And what's important about people know about this is that 3 administrations now, Democrat and Republican administrations, actually have been using this definition. It's called the IRA definition, as well as 30 plus states, countries around the world. So there's nothing controversial about it. And it definitely which is, I think, the key point here, it protects speech, so which I believe deeply in. It allows people, of course, to criticize Israel or to speak out. What it doesn't allow is for hatred, intimidation, and violence driven, of course, by anti-Semitism, which we're seeing on far too many college campuses right now.
Congressman, clearly what's happened over the last few weeks has shown that there is a need for more clarity in the definitions and exactly what constitutes hate speech and what is allowed and what isn't allowed. Were you surprised by the array of people who have opposed the legislation? Because we mentioned there's some on the left, but there's also some on the right as well, I think Matt Gaetz called this ridiculous hate speech. The ACLU said it's misguided and harmful. Congresswoman Jayapal raised the Charlottesville comparison when Republicans didn't speak up. I don't know if that's particularly relevant when you're trying to do definitions, but it is interesting that you've got a kind of a broad spectrum of people opposed to the bill, and I'm just wondering what you make of that.
I was obviously deeply disappointed by some of my colleagues, by the way, including you had some of the extremists say, like Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene, say crazy things which had nothing to do with the bill itself. I guess that's not surprising in this day and age, and I didn't really understand their opposition at all. But listen, our leadership, including Hakeem Jeffries, who made it very clear how much he supported this legislation, came out strong and also has spoken strongly against anti-Semitism and hate on all of our campuses, as did the president yesterday. And I think what the president said yesterday, we shouldn't lose sight of. I think it was incredibly important, right? Speaking out, as I believe, right, violent protest is not protected. peaceful protest is, and also speaking out clearly and saying there's no place in America, no place on any campus for anti-Semitism or violence against Jewish students, or any students for that matter. And I think that's really what we should all be as leaders across the board, across party, should be saying very clearly, right? There's, again, nothing controversial about standing up to hate or anti-Semitism and making sure that our campuses are safe for all students, regardless of their background. Make sure that every college campus is safe, that kids can study, they can take exams, they can graduate without fear of threat and intimidation from others, including those, of course, who are coming from off campus, who are part of a lot of these protests.
Congressman, this is Gene Robinson. I know there have been some outsiders at the protests. Apparently, a significant number at Columbia. There have also been a lot of students there, though, and primarily students. And I wonder if you would just look at the bigger picture for a second. This is a relatively small number of students who are actually pitching, the tents and participating in the protests. On the other hand, I have seen polling that shows younger American adults are more sympathetic to the Palestinians in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict than they are to the Israelis, and a marked difference between voters under 30 and all the age cohorts over 30. What do you make of that? What do you think? Do you think, is that of concern to you? And how do you address that?
Well, I think there's a clear difference between being sympathetic, as I am, to innocent Palestinians being used as human shields by Hamas, a foreign terrorist organization, and then outwardly supporting Hamas, right? And on a lot of these protests, and of course, again, I'm a huge supporter of making sure that students and anyone can speak out and in a peaceful way and protest in a peaceful way. But I believe the country, if you ask that question differently and said, and I've seen polling on this too, do you support Hamas, a foreign terrorist organization, right? An organization that attacked and killed more than 1,200 brutally on October 7th, including 40 Americans, and Americans remain hostage, something we don't talk about every day. I met with the hostage families, American hostage families, again this week. One hostage family is in my district, right? I mean, when you ask about that, people, of course, feel deeply that we should do everything we can to get the hostage families home, just like we should do everything to get humanitarian aid into Gaza, and I think these are not false choices, but there's a strong opposition to terrorists who Hamas and other Iranian proxies, remember, want to hate us, America, more than they hate Israel. And they are continuing to fire missiles at our service members. The Houthis are, Hezbollah, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Iraqi proxies, Iranian proxies are continuing to fire and have killed American service members. When you talk about it that way, the importance of standing up to terror, I think you get a very different answer.
Co-chair of the Problem Solvers Caucus, Democratic Congressman Josh Gottheimer, New Jersey. An important discussion this morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.